This is the World Financial Report on Radio with Harold Siegel. My name is Randy Marshall. Joining us by the telephone, our financial endowment expert, Harold Siegel. We're taping our show on October 27th, 2017. Our time is 8:40 Mountain. Our radio show runs on 6:30 CHED, Sunday afternoon at 3. We also have a podcast through iTunes and through HESradio.com, rarecoloreddiamonds.com. And we have a special announcement to start today's program. Obviously, we're in a time of change. The media landscape is no different. Harold's successful and popular World Financial Report on Radio show has been running on 6:30 CHED in Edmonton for over 17 years. And after reviewing how people were listening to the radio show, it was decided by Harold that effective the end of October, this will be our final show on CHED, we will move online to Harold's website, rarecoloreddiamonds.com, HESradio.com. With the majority of people listening online or via podcast, it was felt we could serve you, our listeners, best with the change. You'll be able to listen to the show anytime you want. The show will be about a half an hour long, and we will continue to put out our weekly World Financial Report on Radio newsletter. Now, Harold is committed to bringing you the latest information on the financial markets and helping you prosper with that knowledge. And obviously, we want to thank all our great listeners for tuning in and reading our newsletter every week. We will continue to do that for you at rarecoloreddiamonds.com, HESradio.com, and join us starting next week on those platforms. As we start today's program, it's interesting to note Canadian dollar is down very, very heavily. 77.5 cents, and that is something that Harold has predicted. He said the Canadian dollar would go down. It wasn't too long ago the Canadian dollar was around 83, 84 cents. Now the U.S. dollar, not too long ago, was around 93. It is at 95. So we can see that, Harold, your prediction is starting to come true when it comes to the U.S. and Canadian dollar. We're seeing a very, very big pullback in the Canadian dollar this week.
You bet, Randy. And again, the U.S. dollar is strengthening against all other currencies. Now, again, it's not that everything is so great in the United States. It's primarily that the economies are bad elsewhere. Europe is in big trouble. They're just not doing business, and they're not recovering from all the hardships that they've had over the last few years. So the fact is that the U.S. dollar is gaining strength. The U.S. Stock market is gaining strength, but it's also at a very dangerous level. It's an area that I would never invest in at this particular point. Again, every time that we've seen a market like the Dow make the moves that it's making at this point here, it tends to be a bubble. So again, I think it's extremely dangerous at this particular point to go into the stock markets, especially at these levels, without waiting for some type of correction. As far as gold goes, gold has dropped most of the week. It's actually up $4 as we're taping the show today, but the market has been down to $12.65. Don't forget, it was not that long ago that gold was back up over $1,300. In fact, was trying to break $13.50 at one point. So what we're seeing now is as the U.S. dollar strengthens, is pushing down the price of gold. Now, my indication is that the U.S. dollar is going to get back to par, which will push gold down further. But don't forget, gold is not going to fall out of bed. Gold is going to remain strong because of geopolitical situations. So again, it's possible that gold could drop down to 1180, 1200 in that area. That's not a big deal. But the fact is that there's a big premium in gold right now because there is a concern over geopolitical situations like North Korea at this particular time. So we do anticipate that the Canadian dollar will fall as other currencies will fall against the U.S. dollar. My prediction is that the U.S. dollar is going to get back to par, which means it's going to move another 5 cents higher than where it is right now, and that should push the Canadian dollar to about the 133 to 135 level. So it's going to get to a point again where the U.S. dollar is going to be the strongest currency and will continue to stay strong as other countries are having problems basically getting out of trouble. So at this point here, we anticipate that gold will back off a bit, but is not going to fall out of bed. If anything does happen geopolitically with North Korea or any of those type of situations, we do anticipate that gold could really rally. But right now what we're seeing is the direct correlation between gold and the dollar, and as the U.S. dollar gets stronger, it's pushing gold lower.
Connect with Harold at rarecoloreddiamonds.com. rarecoloreddiamonds.com. 1-800-432-1022. Harold's auction site is hsfineauctions.com. We have an auction underway right now, our featured diamond of the week. And you can see it online at rarecoloreddiamonds.com. Featured diamond is a .22 carat, hard-cut, fancy, vivid, purplish pink argyle. See it online at rarecoloreddiamonds.com. One of the interesting stories that broke overnight, and it's something we did mention to you in the past we would keep an eye on, the most expensive wristwatch ever auctioned just brought in $17.8 million. It's a lot of money even for a Rolex. A bidder agreed to pay $17.8 million on Thursday for a Rolex Daytona that used to belong to actor Paul Newman. It was interesting. I was talking to a person who is in their 20s, and I said, "Do you know who Paul Newman is?" And she goes, "No, never heard of him." And I was just like, what? But then again, I ran into somebody who had never heard of the Beatles before, so I'm getting to the point where nothing shocks me anymore. But Paul Newman, legendary for so many movies, and in Canada, I guess, we love him best for Slapshot. But a bidder agreed to pay $17.8 million on Thursday for a Rolex Daytona that used to belong to Paul Newman, setting a world record for a wristwatch sold at auction, according to New York auction house Phillips. Now, the Rolex was originally given to Newman by his wife, Joanne Woodward, around the time he was filming the auto race Winning in the late 60s. His use of it sparked a craze among watch fans, who lent his name to that particular style of Rolex dial. Demand for those type of Daytonas skyrocketed, making it perhaps the most widely sought-after collector's watch up to the present day, Phillips said. Fast forward to this year, and James Cox, a former boyfriend of Newman's daughter, Nell, put the original 1968 Paul Newman Daytona up for auction. Cox said the actor gave him the watch in 1984. Now, Phillips declined to identify the buyer, saying they placed the winning bid by phone. $17.8 million, the price tag including auction fees. The auction house described Newman's Rolex, which the actor is said to have worn every day between 1969 and 1984, as arguably the most iconic collector's watch of the 20th century. It beats the previous record auction price for a wristwatch of just over $11 million for a rare stainless steel Patek Philippe, and that was before Thursday. The most expensive Rolex ever sold at auction was the Baodai, a yellow gold automatic style that fetched $5 million at Phillips in May. But Paul Newman's Rolex isn't the most expensive watch of all. A pocket watch made by Patek Philippe in 1933 for the prominent banker Henry Graves sold for $24.4 million at Sotheby's in 2015. But Harold, that's a story that we had promised to pass along to our listeners. We said we would follow it, and news broke overnight. I was up at actually 3 a.m. getting something to drink, and I noticed on CNN Money that they had it, an outstanding story about Paul Newman, and it just goes to show, with hard assets and collectibles, when you have the rarest of the rare, you can see the pricing goes along with it.
You bet, Randy. That is an unbelievable return. And what a gorgeous watch, too. He was one of my favorite actors also, Cool Hand Luke. Anyways, that's in this type of investment environment where things are so uncertain and volatile and things are changing. I mean, investing today is nothing like it was years ago. So, again, every time these auctions happen and we see these type of results, it's just so encouraging to know that there are other markets, alternative assets and alternative markets other than stocks and bonds. So, again, to see a result like that was tremendous. I've seen the watch. It is absolutely magnificent. And I think that what we're going to see going into next year is some unbelievable collectibles coming up for auction because they're doing so well at auction at this time.
One of the ideas that we have for you to invest in is from rarecoloreddiamonds.com, our featured diamond of the week, a 0.22 carat hard-cut, fancy, vivid, purplish pink argyle. See it online at rarecoloreddiamonds.com. But it's important to have a diversified portfolio. And yes, you should have, at all times, a little bit of everything. And in the last 48 years, since 1969, an investor who put $1,000 into the Dow would today have $33,000. That is a gain of 3,200% or 7.6% annually. On the other hand, someone who put up $1,000 in gold in 1969 would have today $37,000 or 7.8% annual return. But if you add in the dividends to the Dow, the return is better. It comes in at 10.7% with the dividends reinvested. But I think the important point that is so critical in the times that we're in, because people are so worried about the stock market, they're all breaking record highs, the different indices, and at some point we will get a pullback, and we don't know to what extent. But you need to have a diversified portfolio that does include hard assets like gold and silver and diamonds. And you can see over the long term, something like gold, sure, it may not pay a dividend, but when it comes to an insurance policy that gives you that rate of return, it's something that everyone should seriously take a look at, Harold.
You better believe it. And again, that is it's a good return. Let's face it. If you can make 8% a year, that's a good return today because the banks are obviously paying under 1%. So the fact is that gold is used more as a hedge against currency devaluation, and it's used more as a hedge against geopolitical situations. Again, at this particular point with the president that we have in the U.S., gold is a very important asset to own. You know, the fact is that you don't really want to trade gold. You want to buy and hold gold because all of a sudden we can wake up one morning and anything could be happening. And we could see gold up $100. I've seen it happen many, many times. That you wake up and you find something has happened overseas, and next thing you know, the overseas markets are reacting to it. So the fact is that if you are in stocks, you've got to be very, very nervous. In fact, in the newsletter this week, there are major reports of very credible analysts that have tremendous track records that are extremely concerned about the level of the Dow at this point here, you know, when you compare it to what's happening in the U.S. economy. It just doesn't make sense that things could be so tight in the U.S., the job market, everything like that. The housing market is not phenomenal. The retail market is terrible. And see the Dow sitting at over 23,000. It's concerning because, to me, I know when it's in the news every single day that the general public, who are not, in most cases, the strongest of traders, think that they're missing out on something, that they're missing out on making money, and they take the risk of going into the market at the wrong time. You know, you've got to learn to buy low and sell high, or sell high and buy low type of thing. And the stock market at this point, the Dow, is hitting record highs almost every day, but it's really based on only 5 or 6 very strong stocks. It's not that the U.S. is the Shangri-La, that everything is so wonderful here and everything is terrible everywhere else. It's not the case. Things are not great here in the U.S. It's just better than it is in other areas. But the U.S. has got major problems. There are derivatives out there that are in the quadrillions of dollars that are unregulated that could bring this market down in a second. So, again, you got to be very, very careful at this point here. And if you are speculating in stocks, it's not a bad idea. In fact, it's a very smart idea to own a hedge, to own some physical gold or silver or an alternative asset that will trade outside of that market. Because when that market does crash, and we've seen it happen in 1999 and 2000, then we saw it again in 2008, those drops were substantial. The drop in 1999 actually dropped the NASDAQ from 5,000 to 1,000. It lost 80% of its value in a very short period of time. And don't forget, in 2008 with the mortgage debacle, that the Dow went from 14,000 to 6,500. Now it's gone from 6,500 to 23,000. Without any major interruption, and there's no way in the world that the U.S. economy is a reason for that move. So, again, if that's where you have your money, I'd be very cautious at this point, and I wouldn't be without protection, either stops in the market or hedges using gold or currencies or other alternative assets like diamonds or like art or those type of things. So if your assets do fall temporarily in stocks, you do have other assets that are going to keep your net worth strong.
This week's featured diamond from rarecoloreddiamonds.com is a .22 carat hard cut, fancy, vivid, purplish pink argyle. See it online at rarecoloreddiamonds.com, featured diamond of the week. Now, the pink argyle diamond tender ended for 2017, October 11. And I was checking yesterday, still no stories, no word on the final results from the argyle tender. One of the things we touched on the last show was that it would take a 50% hike in income tax in the United States to fund their current deficit. Obviously, you have a debt, which is the money that's been racked up over the years of $21 trillion now in the United States, but then you have the good old deficit, the money that you're in deficit every year with your budget. And the projected total U.S. debt is going to be $30 trillion within 10 years using the Congressional Budget Office's own numbers. And they actually use a very rosy 4% nominal rate, and that is the GDP rate. So you're talking about, in the next 5 to 10 years, $30 trillion. And they're saying deficits of $1.5 to $2 trillion per year. Now, what broke during the week, and it's something that we would wanted to pass on to you because I think it's definitely something you want to be aware of. In the United States, they actually had a deficit of $666 billion. You heard right, $1 billion. So you can see that the United States is really in debt, and they have this new tax plan that they're talking about in the United States, and we will have to see if that does draw deficits and debt even further higher in the years to come. I suspect that definitely will be the case, but the federal deficit for the fiscal year 2017, which ended September, $666 billion, according to new numbers released Friday by the Treasury Department and the White House Budget Office. And at some point, yes, deficits and debt do matter. And Harold, we've been living in a world of easy money for many, many years. And at some point, you would think that we will hit a wall. It will be interesting to see if we do, or maybe this continues on for many, many years. What are your thoughts?
Well, fact is that I think that the markets right now are just so not volatile, but just dangerous. So the fact is that I don't see any strong investments at this particular point, unless you're willing to speculate. And when I say strong investments at this point, I mean in the markets. The fact is that I wouldn't touch the Dow because it's way too high, and we've talked about it every week. Again, most of the Dow or movement in the Dow is due to just a few stocks. As far as commodities goes, commodities are trading in a range at this point. There's very few commodities aside from palladium that have broken out this year at all. So my major focus is on the currency markets. You know, the fact is that it's the currency markets that really move the world, and the fact is that if you can get on the right side of the currency markets, you can make an awful lot of money. And that's where we've been successful over the years, is making recommendations in certain commodities. We called the biggest bull market in precious metals in the history of the markets. We were right at $250 gold when we made that first recommendation and wrote an 11-year bull market. Within that period of time, over that 11 years, we have a lot of listeners to the show and a lot of clients that have made fortunes in that market. We also did extremely well in oil and in currencies. So as far as I'm concerned, the commodity markets are going to tell us the directions of the investment markets. And basically the currency market, to me, is the most important market because that's where most of our sales are going to be. Right now we're selling in U.S. dollars because U.S. dollars is the strongest currency. But if that changes, we have the opportunity to do business in other currencies. So you're going to find by listening to our new podcast that we're going to bring other opportunities to you as they become available, type of thing. But we're not going to trade in the conventional stock markets in the Dow. Again, just way too risky, and I just don't think that the risk warrants the reward at this particular time.
Our featured diamond of the week from rarecolorediamonds.com, you can speak with Harold about it, is, and this is a .22 carat hard cut, fancy, vivid, purplish pink argyle. What a beautiful hard cut. I love hard cuts, love pairs, and just a beautiful cut on this diamond. Take a look at it at rarecolorediamonds.com, rarecolorediamonds.com. One of the more absurd stories of the week, and I thought it was quite interesting. In San Francisco, the housing market is so tight, and you're starting to see it even be tighter because of some of the fires that they've had that have displaced people. You see it with the wine market. The worst it's been since 1961. We have information on that in our free weekly newsletter. And San Francisco, the housing market is so tight, a burned-out home is selling below market value at $800,000. You heard right, a burned-out home. Somebody in San Francisco is selling a burned-out home for $800,000, and the local housing market is so out of control, the listing agent on the home said the asking price is low. 121 Gate Street, a one-bedroom, one-bathroom house in the desirable Bernal Heights neighborhood, hit the market in late October. The home was completely gutted in a fire in 2016, and the new owners will need to demolish what's left, according to realtor Jim Laufenberg. He says, "I suspect it will sell for more than what we are asking," he told Business Insider, adding that the seller listed the property below market value to incite interest in the first few weeks. The price tag attached to the 1,700 square foot lot shows the extent of the housing bubble in San Francisco, where tech workers create demand faster than the city can build new housing. But isn't that something? Burnt out home selling for $800,000, and they think actually that it's underpriced. Amazing. We're going to come back and talk about diamonds. An interesting week in diamonds as the World Financial Report on Radio with Harold Siegel and me, Randy Marshall, continues right after this. Welcome back to the World Financial Report on Radio with Harold Siegel. My name is Randy Marshall. Joining us via the telephone, our financial and diamond expert, Harold Siegel. We're taping our show on October 27th, 2017. Our time is 9:05 Mountain. Our featured diamond of the week from rarecolorediamonds.com. See it online, is a .22 carat, hard-cut, fancy, vivid, purplish pink argyle. And as I said, the argyle tender wrapped up for 2017, October 11. And at this point, we still do not have any word on how the tender did. But I'm expecting here in the next week or so, there should be stories that will be printed, and we will give you that information, pass it along to you once we find out more. But Harold, this is really a rare diamond, the heart shape. What a beautiful gift for somebody coming up for Christmas, in a ring or some piece of jewelry, the heart-shaped and the vivid purplish pink argyle. The color on it is exquisite.
Certainly is. Maybe a small diamond, but it is absolutely stunning. One of my favorites, actually. I love the heart shapes also. but this is a fancy, vivid purplish pink, so it's got a high saturation. It's the best color graded by GIA. The heart shape is amazing. Again, it's only 0.22, so it's under a quarter carat, but 95% of all argyles are under a quarter carat. So it's a normal-sized argyle, but it's just very unique in the sense that the shape of it, the cut of it is spectacular, and the color of it is spectacular. So it would look good, really good, in a ring, but I think mostly in a necklace. Absolutely a stunning diamond. It will definitely go up in value over time, especially since we're only 3 years from the argyle mine closing down. So it would be a good long-term investment, but also something that you could wear very easily. It's not ostentatious. To put it into a beautiful setting and have a gorgeous diamond like that would be a real keepsake, something you'd want to keep in the family.
Yes, check it out online at rarecoloreddiamonds.com. rarecoloreddiamonds.com, a 0.22 carat hard-cut, fancy, vivid, purplish pink argyle. See the video, rarecoloreddiamonds.com, featured Diamond of the Week. Now, there is an auction coming up at Sotheby's in Geneva, and they released that they're going to be selling the famed Donnersmarck diamonds, and they could fetch $14 million. The Donnersmarck diamonds, a pair of fancy intense yellow diamonds with aristocratic provenance, is being offered as part of Sotheby's Geneva Auction of Magnificent Jewels and Noble Jewels, November 15 at the Mandarin Oriental Hotel in Geneva. Now, the diamonds, formerly in the collection of the von Donnersmarck family, consist of a 102.54 carat cushion-shaped diamond and an 82.47 carat pear-shaped diamond. They're being offered as a single lot with a pre-estimate of $9 to $14 million. And Sotheby's said these diamonds are attached to one of the great love stories of the 19th century. Now, it is very, very long, but if you would like to find out more about the love story, we'll be happy to send out the full weekly newsletter to you, and you can read in the diamond section the backstory on this diamond. But I read it, and I would encourage you to read it. It is absolutely fascinating how this woman ended up with the Donnersmarck diamonds. It's one of the great love stories, but also one of the great backstories and provenance stories. So if you'd like to receive more information, speak with Harold at rarecoloreddiamonds.com, 1-800-432-1022, 1-800-432-1022, the website rarecoloreddiamonds.com. But Harold, that is the beauty of the diamond market, the hard asset market, whether it be a Paul Newman watch selling for over $17 million. You have paintings, Van Goghs, selling for $50, $60 million. You have cars selling for record prices. You have handbags. It's a market where it's the rarest of the rare, and the backstory is something that when you own that, you have a piece of that in your life. And it's something that obviously you can wear and show off as well. It's wealth that you can wear anywhere you go. And that's the beauty of this market. It's an investment, but at the same time, it is something that you can enjoy while you're waiting to cash in somewhere down the line, or maybe many generations down the line if you release it to your family once you pass away.
You bet. And as you know, you always say you can't wear a stock certificate around your neck. So there are different ways to make money. Diversification is extremely important. You never put all your eggs in one basket type of thing. We're just very in love with the diamond market, especially at this particular time, because look at the pieces that are coming up for auction. Now, again, they get sensationalized. Obviously, these very expensive and amazing diamonds that have provenance and history, they steal the show. But if you look at the auction results from Christie's and Sotheby's and other major auctions, they're not only auctioning off, $40 or $50 million diamonds. Most people could never come close to affording that. Most of these auctions, you're showing, diamonds and watches and other pieces that are somewhat affordable. So the fact is that It doesn't matter whether you double your money on a $5 million diamond or you double your money on a $20,000 diamond. You're still getting the same result. A lot of people that invest in these type of assets don't have multi-millions of dollars to invest, but they do have 100,000 or 500,000 or 50,000 or 20,000. And if you do look at the auction results, many of the items that sell are more in that range than obviously the ones that get sensationalized that are highly advertised and going to sell in the multi-millions. So again, I just find it very exciting to see when these pieces come up for sale. But again, you look at the featured diamond. It's a small diamond. It's a .22. On its own, it may not look like the most impressive of diamonds, but it's got so much going for it. The color of it is the best that you can get. And on top of that, to cut, it's extremely difficult to cut a diamond like that. So put that into a beautiful ring, or my favorite would be a necklace, especially for Valentine's Day or that type of thing. Then your sweetie could wear that, enjoy it, and then one day down the road sell it. So that's the beauty of investing in alternative assets.
Take a look at our featured diamond at rarecoloreddiamonds.com. And speaking of pink diamonds, one of the big pink diamonds that's coming up for auction in Geneva on November 15th as well, a large, fancy, intense pink, and it could bring $30 million. Now, we did have some auction results recently that we can send out to you, and would be happy to do that. And as Harold pointed out, some of the diamonds that were being sold at auction went for very, very good prices, but they were the diamonds that were in the smaller category when it came to price, something that was $40,000, $50,000, $60,000. And these diamonds did very, very well at auction. If you would like to get our free report that we have, it was Sotheby's Magnificent Jewels and Jadeite Auction from October 3rd, 2017, Hong Kong, China. And some of the items that went in that auction, the smaller diamonds, the $50,000, $60,000, $70,000, $100,000 diamonds compared to the $40, $50 million diamonds, did very, very well. But we have an auction coming up here on the 15th. As we mentioned, it's the largest fancy intense pink diamond, could bring in $30 million. It is known as and it's 37.30 carats. It's known as the Raja Pink, which was unveiled in London earlier in the month. And it's going to headline the Magnificent Jewels and Noble Jewel sale for Sotheby's. The discovery of any pink diamond is exceptional, but the Raja Pink, its remarkable size and intensity of color, places it in the rarefied company of the most important pink diamonds known to man. David Bennett, who had Sotheby's International Jewelry Division, said in a statement, now, pink diamonds are extremely rare, making up less than, this is an amazing number, 0.02% of the diamonds submitted to the GIA, according to the auction house. Fancy Intense designates pink diamonds that are quite strong in color, according to the GIA. Fancy Vivid and Fancy Deep diamonds, which are stronger in color, and Fancy Intense diamonds command the highest prices. The Graf Pink Diamond holds the current record for a Fancy Intense pink diamond sold at auction, once owned by American jeweler Harry Winston. The 24.78 carat stone sold for $46.1 million at Sotheby's in Geneva in 2010. The record for the most expensive jewel sold at auction is currently held by another pink diamond, aptly named the Pink Star, and that was a 59.60 carat Fancy Vivid Pink sold for $71.2 million in April of this year. Now, other highlights of the Magnificent Jewels and Noble Jewels sale include two Fancy Intense yellow diamonds, and we just talked about those, the Donnersmarck diamonds, and a Fancy Vivid blue diamond ring. So it's a sale that we will be keeping an eye on here in the next couple of weeks, and we will have results for you. But Harold, I like this time of year because they have the big sales in Geneva, Christie's and Sotheby's. They try and outdo each other with the lots that they offer. They have a lot of high rollers come in, anonymous bidders over the phone, and it's a very exciting time, and it's a time where we like to really keep an eye on how the diamond market is faring, and it seems every year it gets better and better and better. And Geneva is really a marker for the end of the year as we get close to the end of the year, but a marker as well for how well colored diamonds are doing.
You bet. Boy, those prices on those pinks were just absolutely amazing. The thing is that they went for record prices, but the prices are higher today because fancy, vivid pinks of extremely rare ones, like the large 10, 20 carat type of pinks, they're only up to about 2 to 2.5 million a carat. We're going to find soon that those diamonds are going to catch up to the vivid blues that are now selling at 4 to 5 million a carat, and the vivid greens, which are so rare because you very seldom ever see a vivid green diamond, that sold last year for just over 3 million a carat. So these numbers are astronomical. Again, most diamonds are not these type of diamonds. Most diamonds are, obviously much, much smaller and nowhere near that quality or the fame of these type of diamonds. But the fact is that every diamond has its own character, and every diamond has its own cut, because when you look at a diamond, when a cutter looks at a diamond, he's going to look at that diamond and he's going to see the finished product. He's going to say, well, this is going to cut into a beautiful pear cut or a heart shape or a round or whatever, because the fact is that there are certain diamond cuts that are more valuable than others. However, the diamond is only going to give you what the diamond is going to give you. You're not going to get a round diamond out of a square cut diamond type of thing. So I just find it absolutely phenomenal to be able to hold these diamonds in your hand and actually look at them and see the beauty of these diamonds, and then, to see them set in magnificent pieces. We have a fancy green flawless diamond that we set with two vivid pinks, one on each side. It's one of the only, if not the only, green flawless diamond that we've ever seen. And to put that into a ring with two vivid pinks just makes it such a special and rare diamond. So this is a diamond that we actually cut ourselves and got as rough type of thing. So it's just a very exciting time. Most diamonds are smaller diamonds. The fact is that only one diamond in 15 million are over 2 carats. So that'll give you an indication that when a 10 or a 15 or 20 carat pink or blue diamond comes to auction, it's just an extremely rare diamond that most people will never, ever get to see in their lifetime. So it's interesting, and that's why we bring these auction results to the show. It's not that you're going to go out and buy a $50 million diamond. Obviously, most people can't do that, but they are selling. And the fact is that somebody who could afford a $50 million diamond, they're spending that money on that piece, so it must be a good investment for them. Something, obviously, that they're not going to buy one day and sell it the next week. They're going to hold it in the family. Just like we've talked about many, many times, the longer you hold these diamonds, the more and the more and the more they go up in value. What we're really concentrating on at this point is now building our auction business. One of the things that I'm really going to put most of my time into at this time is building our auction. We're getting close to the Argyle mine closing. It's going to happen in the next 2 to 3 years. You give it a couple years or 3 years for all the diamonds to run out, and then we start to liquidate and sell our clients' diamonds. So we have 2 auction sites now. One is a live auction, and one is almost more of a eBay type of auction. We are going to hold auctions and really build both of those business. That's where most of my talents are going to go to. I see the auction business for us as our next major business, and even though there's not a lot of clients that are selling their diamonds at this point, we certainly want to be ready to go when that does happen. So please watch out for auctions coming up. We do anticipate some very strong auctions coming, and we're very, very excited about the direction of our company.
Definitely take a look at our featured diamond of the week, a .22 carat hard-cut fancy vivid purplish pink Argyle. It's the rarest of the rare, a museum-type piece from the vaults of rarecoloreddiamonds.com. If you've never seen a heart-shaped pink diamond, go take a look at rarecoloreddiamonds.com, featured diamond of the week. And one of the stories from this year, and we've touched on it before, but it really does show what this market can do over the long term. It was from April 19, 2017, a blue diamond ring bought by Shirley Temple's father for her 12th birthday went up for sale for roughly $25 to $30 million. A rare blue diamond ring favored by the child star turned diplomat Shirley Temple. It was a 9.54 carat stone which Temple wore for most of her life and was purchased by the former Hollywood actress's father for, and this is her 12th birthday now, for $7,200 in 1940. Now, it was absolutely gorgeous as it came in an original platinum and diamond setting. A gold setting Temple had made for it is going to be included as well. The actress, very, very popular, obviously, in the 30s with her movies. We know her well for her bouncy personality and her curls, and she was just a major, major star back in the 30s and then transitioned to become a diplomat in the United States. But that did not sell at auction, sold privately afterwards for what we've been told for $25 million. But there you have somebody picking up a diamond in 1940 for $7,200, and all those years later, $25 million. And Harold, that's one of the great stories that we featured this year on our show when it came to investing in diamonds. And I would say the story that we have this week about the Donner's Mark diamonds is equal to it. And that's why I encourage people to get our free weekly newsletter and read over the backstory on the Donner's Mark diamonds, because it's a love story, and it's the story of a diamond that will blow your mind. But that is the thing that we really want to educate people about, and that is sitting back with diamonds, giving them a chance to obviously go up in value over time, and yet enjoying them at the same time. Shirley Temple wore that diamond throughout her life.
You bet. And we've talked about that most weeks because it's such a apropos story about this type of investment. Again, you can trade stocks, you can day trade stocks. You could be in a stock for a minute and sell it. You could trade commodities and do the same thing. But those are the trading markets. These are the buy and hold markets. Buying and holding gold is a very smart idea at this particular point, especially with all the geopolitical problems that we're having. Owning diamonds for the long term makes a lot of sense. If you don't need the money yourself, these are assets that you turn over to your children and grandchildren. That's basically what I'm doing for my children and grandchildren. I put away these type of assets for a long time now, where I would not put away stocks, because a stock can go to zero, but gold will never, nor will diamonds. So, again, we're in changing times. Everybody has their own comfort level as far as investing goes. My comfort level is in alternative assets. I've traded commodities for most of my career and been, quite successful in it. But they're extremely risky, and there's no way in the world that that's where I would invest most of my money. I don't invest money in risky situations. So at this point, again, I feel very comfortable with the alternative asset market, especially with the risks in the stock markets and other markets at this time. Those are just markets I wouldn't be in. And the general public, unfortunately, buys into these markets, whether it's real estate in Toronto and Vancouver at the wrong time or trading the Dow when it's up to 23,000.
A few weeks ago, we had a featured diamond that was a green diamond, a .46 carat radiant cut fancy vivid green. And we mentioned that in May of 2016, the Aurora Green sold for a record-breaking price of $16.8 million. It's 5.03 carats, and it set two records at Christie's Hong Kong Magnificent Jewel Sale, the price of $16.8 million and per carat of $3.3 million. It was purchased by Chow Tai Fook Jewelry, one of the largest retailers in the world. And this diamond is now currently in their possession. But as we've mentioned before, Chris Delgado, a jewelry expert, has said, jewelry is an investment you can wear for 30 years and then sell. What else can you do that with? And coming up at auction, a rare 5.62 carat green diamond. is going up for auction at Phillips in Hong Kong for Hong Kong $26 million. That is $22 million is $2.8 million US. Hong Kong $26 million is $3.3 million US. They also have pigeon blood rubies and pink diamonds that are going to be in high demand. Phillips has an autumn auction, and it's betting on an emerald green collection of emeralds, jadites, and a rare fancy intense green diamond. A total of 140 lots will go under the hammer at Phillips Jewels and Jadeite Auction November 27 at the Mandarin Oriental. Now, the highlight is that 5.62 carat green diamond, which is estimated to go from anywhere $2.8 million to $3.3 million. And they say this significant gemstone is an exceptional geological formation, prized for its rich, uniform, and saturated green body color, as well as its remarkable size. So obviously they believe there's a rising demand for greens, and they think that obviously because of the Aurora green and now putting this green up for auction, they are going to bring attention to that green diamond market. And Harold, I know we have about 4 minutes left here in our segment. I know that the green market is something that you've talked about for a long time and encouraged people to take a look at.
You bet. I believe that the greens are the new blues. They're very, very difficult to get. A green diamond turns green because uranium seeps into the ground and turns it green. But the fact is that most of them come from South America. The ones that come from Venezuela you can't even buy or touch because of the Kimberley Act, which Venezuela is not part of at this particular time. So they're very, very rare and very beautiful. And I believe the next upcoming major market, as far as big diamonds that will sell for fortunes, is going to be in the green market, in the green diamond market. We own a rough diamond that's over 19 carats that is green. It's the largest green rough diamond ever found, and we also own a 9.5 carat vivid pink rough. So, the fact is that there's some very, very rare diamonds out there, but it takes a while to cut them and then get them graded and bring them into the market. But it's a very exciting time to be in the rare diamond market. And as I said earlier in the show, my major focus is going to be building our 2 auction sites and really getting those going so we can help our clients sell their diamonds and other collectibles down the road.
And we are in a time of great change. We mention it again as we did off the top of the show. The media landscape is no different to change, and Harold Siegel's successful and popular World Financial Report on Radio show has been running on 630 CHED in Edmonton for over 17 years. And after reviewing how you were listening to our show, it was decided by Harold that effective with this show, this will be our last show on 630 CHED, we will be moving online to his website, rarecoloreddiamonds.com and HESradio.com. The majority of people were listening online or via podcast anyway, so we felt it was the best way to serve our listeners as we go forward with this change. The show will be about a half an hour long, and we will continue to put out our weekly World Financial Report on Radio newsletter, keeping you up to date. Harold is committed to bringing you the latest information on the financial markets and helping you prosper with that knowledge. And we want to thank all our amazing 630 CHED listeners for tuning in, reading our newsletter all for many, many years. And we are going to continue to keep you up to date via our podcast and via our newsletter. And Harold, people can join us at rarecoloreddiamonds.com starting next week and HES Radio starting next week. And with about 15 seconds left, thank you for another outstanding show.
It's my pleasure, Randy. I wish everybody a wonderful weekend and a very profitable day.
Take a look at our featured diamond of the week from rarecoloreddiamonds.com, a .22 carat hard cut, fancy, vivid, purplish pink argyle. Check it out at rarecoloreddiamonds.com. rarecoloreddiamonds.com, 1-800-432-1022. And don't forget, Harold has an auction underway at hsfineauctions.com. Go take a look at that. And starting next week, join us online. That's it. Another edition of the World Financial Report on Radio with Harold Siegel and me, Randy Marshall. We will talk to you next week.